Hi everybody, welcome to this video of the knockout that happened at UFC Fight Night Covington versus Woodley. That's back in September. And this is Tyson knocking out Jerome Rivera. I want to mention a few things that created the conditions for Nam to get this knockout. So a bunch of it. First off, you see Rivera is just going to throw that leg kick, no setup. That's just it. He just throws it with no preparation. The issue with that, as I've said before, as I've explained in my book about the leg kick, is that if you throw a leg kick without any setup, you are usually at the distance that your opponent can counter you. So the range between both fighters is such that if you are there to be hit without doing something to make it difficult for your opponent to counter you, well, then he's just going to land a shot as Nam does here. He's going to throw the big right hand, and Rivera was in range for that strike. So you need to set things up. Could be a feint, could be a technique, could be a counter, could be timing, could be a bunch of things. And again, I'm going to refer to my book for that, and you can find the link for that in the description if you like. But you have to set things up correctly for the leg kick to work. So that's the first point. Second point, look at where he hits. That is pretty high upon the inside of the leg there. I mean, that's almost kicking Nam in the nuts. So that's risky to begin with. Could have been disqualified, could have had the referee step in and create a different dynamic in the fight. But regardless, that's pretty high up. The second reason why this matters, aside of almost hitting the groin, is that the higher up you kick in the inside of the leg, the more what will happen is that he might move a little bit offline with that leg. He might lose his balance a little bit, but he will be able to adjust and put his foot back down again relatively easily. If you hit lower along the leg, closer to the knee, then you will more easily destabilize your opponent, maybe even make him fall if he doesn't have a good base. So that's the second mistake that Rivera made. And then obviously, don't forget, when you throw a leg kick, 9 out of 10, you will be in range for your opponent to throw some sort of counter. Whether it's a left hand, whether it's a right hand, doesn't matter. You are usually relatively close by. In this case, because he didn't hit at the right target, Rivera doesn't manage to break the balance of Nam completely. Nam recovers, and you can see that that big right hand is going to come over the top here. I mean, you can see he's stepping a little bit to the left with his left leg, and then he is going to launch an all-out right punch here, throwing everything in the kitchen sink in there, and it lands. Boom. Here you see the impact. I mean, that's a big right hand landing, and you see the head snap back, and Rivera goes down. Now, well done by Nam. He doesn't go overboard. He doesn't go nuts. He sees his opponent go down, so he knows that there's something good coming his way. So he's got a few seconds to think about it and then move in. And he's careful. He just doesn't dive on top of his opponent. So you can see him checking here, checking the legs, making sure that he gets a good position. He tries to go a little bit around with the left foot. See good foot placement here, so he doesn't immediately end up in the guard. And then he's going to throw that big right hand first. And you can see here, that one lands, good blow here. And then there's a follow-up with a few punches and the fight is over. So that were the first two things that I wanted to mention. And again, you see here how it goes into ground and pound. So, and the ref is going to step in a little bit. So here we see the overhead. Now, I want to point something out, and I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you see it better, right? So I want you to look at the positioning. So Nam is here facing his opponent. He's got all his weapons trailed on him. So from here, he can throw the left hand, the right hand, left leg, right leg. Everything is well positioned to attack. Contrast that with what Rivera is doing. He is not oriented fully on his opponent. He's more oriented off to the side. So what you'll see is that that right leg could go, that right hand could go, but his left leg doesn't really have a good entrance here, a good angle. His left hand also has to come more in an oblique angle here. So he's not positioned correctly for whatever he wants to do next. So actually Nam is already moving to the outside with his lead foot, which isn't always the best solution against a southpaw, but it often works quite well. So that's the first thing to look out for. Next, I want you to watch his lead foot here from Rivera. See what he does next with it. So he's going to, from here, step. And where does he place his foot? He places his foot right in front of Nam's foot, which means that right now, both center lines will end up being pretty close to each other as he throws that leg kick. So watch the kick come in, and you can see here that right now they are face to face, right in front. So from a disadvantageous position, Rivera stepped into a dangerous position, which is your face to face. That's where the pain starts. That's where you get hit if you stay there. So the second thing I want to mention is that he throws a half hip. Notice there's no rotation on the lead leg, and his hip is basically closed. It's not an open position, and it's a half hip rotation, which means that it's a faster kick. But what also happens is you lose some power, and it's a little bit more difficult sometimes to retract that leg correctly and get away. At this stage, he's just standing right in front of Nam, and he's ready to be hit. And that's what happens next. So bad footwork. Once again, if you look at that right foot, instead of stepping over here, he sort of stepped outside. If he steps outside, he goes away from the right hand, and he's much safer. So here you see again, stepping right in front of his opponent, and then he lands the kick, and he gets countered for it. And that's all she wrote, right? Okay, moving on to one more point. And this is going to be a little bit more it requires more of an explanation that I will get into in a separate video one time. Look at the reaction by Rivera. So he is looking straight at his opponent, right? It's not like he's distracted. It's not like he doesn't see what's happening. He is focused on Nam and to see what is the result of his leg kick. Small detail, drop that right hand. Don't like that at all. If you throw a leg kick, at the very least, keep that right hand either here or on the other side of your face, but do not drop it down low. Second point, watch his reaction. So he sees the kick, it lands, and he's seeing that big right hand come up. Notice his hands. What does he do? Okay, he extends his arms. This is one of the flinch responses that we automatically see in untrained fighters. They extend their arms and they push their hands out towards the opponent. This does absolutely nothing against that big right hand. Zero. So this is a training issue. This needs to be addressed in training. As a professional fighter, as a fighter in general, you do not have the luxury to have flinch responses. We want to train until we either use them correctly, and then we end up using blocks and parries and so on. But we do not want to end up where we do them instinctively, which is what our brain is wired for, to do this stuff instinctively when it spots danger, but it leaves you wide open to being hit. This kind of response, pushing your hands out to stop an incoming punch, it doesn't do anything. Yes, I know about shoulder checks, bicep checks, and so on. I know about all that. Well, how well did it work out here for Rivera? Not at all, because he's doing none of that. It's not a check, it's an instinctive flinch response, and it leaves you wide open. And here you see there you see again, both hands here, sliding off that shoulder, not stopping anything, not stopping the power. Here you see here the position of his hands. They slid completely over Nam's shoulder and didn't stop anything. What's more, notice that his head here is wide open. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you see it better. His head is completely open here, and there's nothing that can protect him. What can protect him? His hands. He's not using them. They're only there in a flinch response. And he pays a price for it, and he goes down. So I will do a future video and maybe even an article on the website, that's MMAformula.com, about training for the flinch response, how to use it, how to avoid it getting used against you, like we see here. That will be a future video. It's one of the key points that I think is important for fighters to know. All right, that's it. There's more coming up. I apologize for the lateness of the video. I was moving out of my apartment, and in these kind of difficult pandemic times, it was hard to get that done, but it's almost sorted out now, so your regular scheduled programming will resume. As always, if you want to support the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, share with everybody who might enjoy this. You can go over on Patreon. I'm going to do some more exclusive videos over there as well. And if not, I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.